Welcome to today's webinar. We want to welcome you as we're going to talk about building your 2026 lead ecosystem. Hard to believe we're already into the final days of November and already having to look ahead to 2026. And so I want to thank you for taking time out to jump in and begin thinking ahead into 2026. So, as we look ahead into 2026, I want to help you focus on one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to future proof your lead generation system as we head into this next year. So, we're going to focus today on some practical, data backed strategies that are actually working now and help you position yourself as an unstoppable force in the marketplace based on what's happening with technology, what's happening with AI, and to position yourself as the market leader in your particular local market. And we want to give you that competitive edge against those who are in the marketplace with you. If you've not joined me for any of our previous webinars, let me give you a quick introduction. My name is Carl Willis. I am the CEO at Agent Branding and Marketing. I've been marketing online since 1997. My background, I'm a former financial advisor, Series 6, 7, 63, 65, Life A&H, author of the Internet Marketing for Small Business book, also recently released Digital Domination for Insurance Agents, creator of the Marketing Classroom, international keynote speaker on business growth and lead generation. In fact, just returned from Kenya last week where I was leading conferences on those topics. Widely accepted as a go-to expert for insurance agency digital marketing strategy. I'm the host of the Digital Insurance Agent podcast. So if you're not a subscriber to that, I encourage you to do that as well. And I have the privilege of working with local insurance agents throughout the United States. So anytime you hear me talk, anytime you're on one of our webinars, I'm always going to refer to the marketing ecosystem. And today that is going to be front and center in our conversation. So when we talk about the marketing ecosystem for you as an insurance agent, what we're going to be talking about and looking at is this pie, if you will. And the pie is going to incorporate all the elements of your online marketing presence. That's going to be your search engine optimization, your paid ad strategies, your retargeting, your online paid directories, the repeat and referral business, the pay-per-lead engines, your social media advertising, your referral programs, your website, and then of course, hitting this whole thing now is artificial intelligence, the signals that you're generating, all of those pieces come into play in this ecosystem. And the ecosystem is so critical because your prospects are operating throughout this entire ecosystem. It's not just a single piece of the ecosystem that they're using. They are moving through multiple modalities, multiple platforms. And so we have to think in terms of omnipresence when we now think about our marketing strategy. So what you're going to learn in our time together today, we're going to be looking at the ecosystem shift as we head into 2026. We'll be talking through the multi-channel blueprint. Specifically, we'll be talking about SEO, pay-per-click, referrals, and social. Those are going to be the four pillars we'll look at. We're going to spend some time looking at Google's AI overviews and how do you navigate those, because there's some really startling data that we're seeing since mid 2024 as to the decrease in the amount of website traffic the amount of decrease in click-throughs from organic traffic, and the really surprising amount of decrease in click-throughs from paid ad traffic as well. We'll talk about some real world funnel strategies that you as an insurance agent can be using. We'll talk about avoiding wasted ad spend, and we'll also look at where most agents are losing out on leads, and then we'll open up for some Q&A at the end. And so we'll start with what's changing in 2025 here at the end and 2026 that is really demanding a shift in strategy. I'll walk you through what a healthy multi-channel ecosystem is going to look like. And then you're going to see really how to avoid that lead bleed and what you need to do about that. So let's first of all talk about why most agents are going to struggle in 2026. Number one, 67% of agents are still relying on word of mouth business generation only. And so, because of that, they only have one leg holding up their business, and that leg is referrals. But what we have to realize is that AI is radically changing the way consumers interact with businesses. And so, because of this, acquisition costs are doubling and have doubled since 2020. AI search is replacing traditional SEO snippets. And here's some startling data for you. Since mid 2024, click through rates from organic search, this is traditional SEO, are actually down 61%. And click through rates from paid search, Google Ads, are down 68%. So, 2/3 of the traffic that a small business used to get, that an insurance agent used to get from their SEO efforts or their Google AdWords efforts, has literally disappeared because of these AI overviews. And so, without a lead ecosystem, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to overpay to get traffic to your site, or what's even worse, you're going to become invisible and irrelevant. And so, either one of those is a bad scenario. We want to help you avoid either one of those two situations. So, what we want to focus on is the four pillars of a winning lead ecosystem. And these four areas need to work together. They are not silos. They are not meant to work individually. So it's not that you can just choose one and have a magic bullet. Years ago, you could do that. Today, they have to work in conjunction with one another. And so we're going to break down how to use each one of these silos and why they need to be used in conjunction with the others. So I'll give you a little bit of a deep dive into each silo, why it's important, why it needs to be part of the overall mix, but also why it cannot stand alone. And so we'll look at it strategically, but we want to make sure that you're not just chasing leads. We want you to build a machine that feeds your business consistently, because chasing leads is a quick way to frustration. What we want to do is build a 24/7, 365 business generating machine. And that's the whole point of the ecosystem. So let's talk about SEO first and foremost. And when we talk about SEO, of course, we can't talk about SEO without talking about AI. And AI is going to dominate conversations going forward. So we have to remember that AI is rewriting the rules of SEO because Google's Gemini AI overviews are the new front door for small business. Google just released Gemini 3.0 here in the last 10 days. And in 2025 and moving into 2026, what's happening is Google's AI overviews are now pushing the organic listings down the page. And so choosing the right business is all about what Google's AI is going to serve up. And so you can see this graphic is giving you a demonstration of what that search result looks like. Gemini will bring up something like this. Choosing the right insurance depends on your needs. Compare health, life, and auto insurance policies, check coverage limits, and read customer reviews before deciding. And then it starts to shove the organic listings down the page. Well, that's a really generic representation. What's actually happening is Gemini is actually making recommendations. So if I'm looking for auto insurance or home insurance or life insurance, it's actually going to recommend different agents and agencies to me based on its selected criteria. And it's going to give me a whole listing. And then it's going to give me the criteria that it based that listing on. And way down the page, it's finally going to get to the traditional listings we've become familiar with over the years. And so it's no longer just about ranking, it's about appearing in the AI generated answers. You want to be one of the agents and agencies that Google is recommending through its AI engine. And what that means is structured data, topical authority, and user-focused content are now non-negotiables in your SEO strategy. So we have to be developing our SEO strategy not just based on keywords, but on structured data, on your topical authority, which is a fancy way of saying your expertise in the subject matter. And just because you're an expert doesn't mean that Google knows you're an expert. We have to be able to convey that in the broader universe. And then user focused content becomes critical. We've got to demonstrate that outward facing so that the consumer knows that as well. And then we've got to get found in the Google Maps or you're going to get skipped over. So even with AI, we still can't ignore the local search results as well. So local map results still dominate high intent searches like best auto insurance near me. So we, at the same time as we're focused on feeding the AI engine, we have to be optimizing the business profile on a weekly basis by adding location keywords, service areas, reviews, and images. And we also have to understand that Google is coming in on a regular basis based on user suggestions and its own data and wanting to add additional information to your business profile. And so we've got to go through and make sure that that information is accurate so that we are getting the right set of eyeballs to your business listing on a regular and consistent basis. Because if that data is not accurate, we're going to get the wrong people coming to the business profile, or we're not going to show up in the right searches. So we have to have these things working in conjunction with each other. There has to be synergy in the search engine optimization. So we have to be optimizing the website, the business profile, and then the new terminology for optimizing for AI is AEO, Answer Engine Optimization. And if you'll go out to our YouTube channel or to the Digital Insurance Agent podcast, you'll find some episodes and some content specifically on that new topic, Answer Engine Optimization. The next piece that we want to look at in building our machine is pay-per-click. And you may be saying, well, wait a minute, I've wasted a lot of money on pay-per-click before. Well, you're not alone. A lot of people have done that. Pay-per-click actually does work when it's done right. And that's why I have that appendage there, if you do it right. We want to make sure we avoid burned budgets. And the way we do that is through tight location targeting, use of negative keywords, and high converting landing pages. We don't want to just be sending paid traffic to our website. It's not tight enough. We've got to be super tight with the location. We want to make sure that we are monitoring search queries and putting negative keyword lists together. And one of the things that Google is really good about is they love encouraging you to use broad match targeting. And the reason they love to encourage you to use that broad match targeting is that they are wanting you to use broad match targeting because broad match targeting is there for the purpose of running up your budget, because it's very loose, it's not very precise. And what broad match targeting does is it gets sloppy, but it's a quick way to run up the bill. And so Google loves broad match targeting. So we want to be very precise with our targeting so that it stays laser targeted, laser focused. So what you need to understand is pay-per-click isn't the villain. It's actually often the best way to scale quickly. It's the way to put top end to the performance, but you have to have a smart strategy. And what most agents end up doing, unfortunately, is they waste money by sending traffic to the home page instead of a specific, highly focused landing page. Or they use very generic default keywords, not highly specific, highly targeted keywords. And so we want to make sure that we're being very strategic, very laser focused when we do pay-per-click. The other thing that we want to use pay-per-click for is to retarget. And this is one of the best ways to use pay-per-click. Retargeting is where we actually advertise to people who have already been to our website or our landing page or our social media account because they've already shown intent. And so we are using better use of our advertising dollars because intent has already been shown. And what we're doing then is we are accelerating the decision-making process. Now, the next piece of our machine is we want to multiply referrals without using cold asking. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use automation to do that, because your best leads are going to come from trust. And that doesn't mean that you have to manually ask for those leads every time. We're going to use our CRM and workflows to turn automation on so that every policyholder becomes a referral source automatically. So we're going to use our CRM to send out an email and create a referral funnel automatically. And that's the next piece of our machine. Anytime we write a new policy, we're going to immediately send out that email that says, thank you for doing business with us. Who else do you know? so that we don't overlook asking for the referral. So that piece does not get bypassed. It happens without even thinking about it. Now, here's where most agents lose 60% of their leads. And we're going to talk about this biggest leak point in the ecosystem. It's follow up. Follow up is where most business gets dropped. Leads don't convert because they don't get nurtured properly. So you need to make sure you've got systems in place, text, email, even voicemail drops that re-engage prospects automatically that have not closed yet. And so this will give you a visual of that funnel. Prospect fills out the form, they get follow up, they get their quote, and then we close. But the breakdown is when there's no follow up. And we want to follow up from multiple points of engagement because we live in a highly distracted world and prospects respond with different modalities. Some people are more email driven, some are more text driven, some are going to respond better to voicemail. In our own business, we use all three. We use text, we use email, and we use voicemail drops as part of our follow up process. What we want to do is multiple touch points, multiple points of engagement. We want to stay active with that prospect through their entire decision making process to help nurture that prospect all the way through to the close. Now, let's kind of diagram this out, what the lead ecosystem is going to look like in operation. So, when everything is working together, you're going to see a flow. And I want you to think of the ecosystem in some ways like a spider web. That prospect hits a strand on the spider web and the whole thing begins to vibrate. And what we're looking for is for that prospect to touch another sticking point. And the more sticking points that we create, the quicker that prospect converts, the quicker we close new business. So, for example, your SEO, your organic activity brings that prospect to a landing page. Maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's an article, maybe it brings them to your website. And while they're on that landing page, they fill out a form. And they fill out that form, they go into your CRM, and in your CRM, they now are put into a drip campaign, a follow up sequence, a nurture sequence. And so now they are getting follow up emails. Maybe they're getting some other follow ups from you as well. And because they are in your nurture sequence, they have also been added to a retargeting campaign for pay per click. So they are starting to see ads on Facebook and Instagram or Google, whatever retargeting platform you've chosen to use for your paid ads. And so they are now being retargeted with advertising. And that retargeting is reminding them to get a quote from you. So I want you to see what's happening with the spider web. They've engaged you because of your search engine optimization. They've been on your property, your landing page. They have filled out your form. They are now hearing from you in your email inbox. So we're up to 4, maybe 5 points of contact already. They are now getting advertising from you. Could be Facebook, Instagram, Google, depends on what modality you're using. They are being retargeted. If you're retargeting correctly, they are seeing your ad multiple times per day, per week, per month, reminding them to get a quote. And so you are upping those contact points. What we're finding with today's consumer is it takes approximately 10 to 12 points of contact for them to make their transaction decision. So now we remind them, get a quote. They request the quote. You get the quote. They become your customer. Now your referral sequence kicks in. Thank you for doing business with us. Who do you know? The referrals kick in. You have social proof. They leave reviews for you. They have left a review on Google or Facebook. Now you put that into your social media as social proof. And now that becomes a part of your testimonial funnel. So this is where you are building a machine all the way through. So this prospect starts as a prospect. You bring them through, give them their quote. They become your customer. Now they become a referral source. You take that referral, you now leverage it as social proof. That social proof now becomes part of your marketing machine, and you're repeating the process all over again. They have now become an advocate for your agency and your business. So your SEO fuels your PPC, your CRM powers your referrals, the ecosystem becomes self-perpetuating. And that's why it is a machine. It is self-perpetuating. It continues to feed itself. Now, when we take a look at this at work, these are the types of results we see when we deploy the ecosystem. Had an agent who deployed the ecosystem, and what they saw over a 90-day period was a 3x increase in their pipeline. They saw their lead flow increase, not by adding more tactics, but by finally synergizing everything, making everything work together in harmony. So everything's moving in the same direction. SEO, PPC, Google Maps, retargeting, all moving together in one synergistic ecosystem. And that's the power of the ecosystem. Everything is moving together in harmony. Everything is working together with one objective. So the invitation to you, if you need some help blueprinting your ecosystem, schedule a strategy session with us. We would love to take a look at what you're doing, and we'll help you map out what your ecosystem needs to look like. We'll audit what you have in place. You can do that at agentbrandingandmarketing.com/schedule. That being said, let me open this up for any Q&A that you've got, and give you a moment or two to do that. Drop questions into the chat, and I'll be happy to answer that, whether that's about AI in search, PPC, budgets, automation, any questions you've got, I'm here to help. Go ahead and drop those in the chat. Okay, doesn't look like we've got any questions today. So our next webinar in December will be our annual marketing planning webinar for 2026. This one is really more of a workshop. We will give you spreadsheets to figure out what your budgets need to be, help you break those down by online, offline, SEO, paid ads. This one's a pretty robust webinar. We do it every year. And so we want to encourage you to be a part of that. We'll be sending out invitations for that here in the next couple of weeks. And as always, want to thank you for tuning in. Again, if you need to book a strategy session with us, you can do that at agentbrandingandmarketing.com/schedule. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me today. Look forward to talking with you again on the next webinar.